Hi, it's Rich Hoffman here. So the left, the radical, crazy Marxist left, is worried that they're saying the same thing they said the last time. They hoped it worked, and it didn't work because people elected him again anyway. That President Trump wants to be the king, and he's acting like a king and a ruler and a dictator. And where's our democracy at? It's ironic coming from them, who are very tyrannical and overtly evil in that they want the state to rule over all people. And all of a sudden now they're concerned about Trump being like a king. So the way we set up our constitutional republic and set forth by President Washington, the two-term approach, well, Trump got robbed from one of his terms, so he would have been reelected in 2020 if Democrats hadn't interfered. And so they've kind of messed up the whole cycle of having two terms, whether they're consecutive or over a period of time. And the jokes about Trump running for a third term, so you have two consecutive terms, has got them all stirred up. But I don't think that's what Trump wants to do. I think he'd like to retire after all this and set the stage for some of these newer people, like the J.D. Vances of the world, and the Vivek Ramaswamys of the world, the Charlie Kirks, and a whole bunch of bright minds that can take the baton and run with it. I think that's what he's inclined to do. He has no desire at all to be a king. But when it comes to being chief executive of the executive branch, whether it's a company or whether it's in a political realm, you have personalities like Trump who are not going to share the limelight, because that's not what they do. And that's the case with most people who lead organizations. They're not very good at sharing the limelight. They like to have light on them, and while they're in that office, they certainly do so. As far as Trump being king, I think he's just being a good executive. That's what he's doing, what he was hired to do. And when I say hired, it costs him millions of dollars to be in the White House. He doesn't really get a lot of benefit out of it other than the respect of knowing he gave something in his life towards a cause. And that is 12 years of essential public service at the cost of his businesses. He could have continued to go out and make a lot of money with his Trump organization. And a good thing he made a lot of money, because it's made him essentially too big to easily destroy by the system that is built to protect itself from good leadership. But you need good leadership. But the difference in a king is they tend to hang around for life and stay appointed, and they don't retire. That's not what we do in the United States, and that's not what we're going to put up with. And that's not what President Trump is doing. He's just being President Trump. And it goes against the premise of what democracy looks like to radical Marxist leftists. When they say democracy, they mean the mob. And they want the mob to rule, not some strong executive. It goes back to the whole union premise that the workers own the company, not the company owner. And that the decisions should be shared among the workers, who just get to show up, punch in a time clock, and then go home and have a responsibility for the business. They just show up every day, and somehow miraculously their jobs are there, when it's really the executives, and that's why the pay difference is so much different. That's people who go out and set the company up and make the company run and make the hard decisions that keep the company going, so that there's a parking lot at a business for these people to come and show up and clock in and do their work. There's a means to do that, because somebody made a decision, took a chance, and wanted that chance, so that there was a job opportunity created. That's exactly what goes on and has been missing from our political system. We've had really nobody of strong executive presence in those positions for most of the American presidency, as it's been created as a republic. People got tired of getting pushed around by the rest of the world and not having someone who really knew how to do this work. And so we went on and got a CEO for the United States. And he runs the United States the way a CEO would run a good company. And that's negotiate deals, that's cut off all this corrosive elements that are coming from K Street lobbyists, all the crime that has been shoved under the door, while the appeasement community would seek to keep the president feeling boast their egos by keeping them pampered and well fed, but stay in the executive branch and we'll take care of the rest of this stuff. Meanwhile, the United States has been getting screwed over every 5 seconds by somebody, and everybody got tired of it, so they elected Trump. They elected Trump the first time, they elected Trump the second time, they elected him the third time. And it's not controversial to say because the evidence is quite clear. And then if you really want to get into it, as I've said a million times, and the evidence is even more overwhelming now than it was back then, COVID was created in China, in a Chinese lab with all kinds of crazy funding for gain-of-function research that was maliciously applied by Dr. Fauci directly, but there's a lot of Dr. Faucis out there in the world doing really, really bad things. And they got caught, and he got caught doing malicious attributes that these people who work in these government offices without a strong chief executive there to maintain things ran away and turned everything into corruption in a terrible way that has been embarrassing. And Americans got tired of being embarrassed. So they want a strong Trump. But Trump, I don't think, is going to want to do this stuff forever. He's going to give it all back as soon as he can so he can go play golf and enjoy his life and know that he gave his all, gave for his country, did some good things while he was there. He's going to set the stage for future CEO types to run the country as opposed to political hacks that come up through the ranks and are encouraged by their various organizations to be a token figurehead while they use the power of government to confiscate a lot of money and then give themselves easy jobs as a result of it. That scam is over, and Trump's been hired to end it. And the people out there that are Marxist in orientation and socialists, and we talk about that a lot these days because that's exactly what they are. Most everybody, when you talk about the political left, are Marxist, socialists, or communists to some degree. Marxism being the overall umbrella, communism being the hard C, socialism being the soft S. But it's all state control over assets. And that's the real problem, is that's when they talk about a king, that's because they don't want, just like in any business where you have the workers thinking that they run the company, you have the people thinking that the mob can run through democracy and take away the strong decision-making of a strong leader. So they want a leaderless world so they can rule over it. And when you have strong leaders who get in the way of what they want to do, of course, they're mad about it. And so they say, Trump is wanting to be the king, King Trump. Not at all. He's just a strong executive that has leadership tendencies, and there's a lot of people like that in the world. He advertised himself as being someone who didn't mind doing it and taking a hit in the pocketbook to go do it because he wanted to do it, whether it's to satisfy his own ego or just a yearning that he had because he's good at these things and he wanted to do something he was good at that could save the country that he loves and lives in, and for his family and the people he cares about in the world. But why else would you do it? What other pay is there out there for someone who has strong leadership attributes? Why do they do what they do? Because that's what they are inclined to do. And they're all over the place. Trump will be the last one. And we're setting a precedent where those types of people can then now move into elected office and do great things. But is he a king? Absolutely not. Only from the perspective of the radical left that doesn't want any opposition to their mob-like rule over all civilization. And to that effect, that's why they hate Trump so bad. And that's also why we had to put him in place, because we needed someone who was going to be strong in a leadership position and not buckle away from the mob's public sentiment. Seems to be a theme these days, but we have to talk about it because that's the strategy behind most of what the radical left wants to do. They want to rule through the mob. That's why they're always yakking about democracy. But the problem is the unwashed, unintelligent masses that make up that mob, the stringy-haired concert goers who are smoking dope and roll around in the mud of the various Woodstocks that are out there. They have equal say to how to run your government as logical, well-educated people who work hard at life. And that's not right, and that's not just either. There's a lot that you can complain about as far as that, but what's behind this argument over Trump being a king is that they want to have the premise that the lowest common denominator can help rule your society. And if you really want to bring down the United States, you don't have the people who are the best and most elevated in your society, who obtain their positions in life through competition, running things. You want the dumbest and most broken, most harmed people who have deliberately made messes of their lives to have equal say over those who have made good decisions. And that's what the mob's after. That's what the mob wants to murder, is good leadership. And that's, if you want to destroy a country that produces great leaders and great respect and great things in life, of course you're going to want to tear down those who have obtained greatness in their lives with merit. Because that's what they've always been after, is destroying good leadership, destroying merit, so that those who aren't very good at anything can rule equally as everybody else. And so that's what democracy means to them. Democracy means the mob is ruling, as opposed to elected representatives who are good at what they do and can specify in doing just that for a limited amount of time. And when their term is over, they give it back and they go back to the plow, or they go back to the business desk, or in Trump's case, they go back to one of your golf courses and have a great time, because you lived a good life and you did a lot of good things for people, and you earned to have a little bit of a break. And Trump certainly will when he's done with his terms. And he's not going to be a king. I'd say he's given up a lot to be president, and we're benefiting greatly from him giving all that up, because we're going to be a lot better because of it. And in the future, we want more of those types of people like Trump to be in these elected offices, and not the goofy left-wing appeasers who want to appease the mob and make the mob more powerful than it deserves to be. And that's what's really behind the anger towards Trump and calling him a king, when really it's them who want all the power, and he's in the way of them getting it. And that's why we love him. Anyway, it's Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you haven't read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.